Ayuk.
Yeah.
Hello, it is time to start the show. And I'm going to get started right after this.
What's up, folks? So that's the first question of the night. Can Brock Purdy ball without Brandon Ayuk? I'm going to say yes. And, Ayuk, he's not the biggest. He's not the fastest. He's a good route runner, right? He blocks really well downfield. But at this point, he's not. He himself said, "I'm the fourth option on the offense." Dude, really? Like that's throwing yourself under the bus. You can't be in two places at once, but he can. He can be the driver and be under the bus at the same time. So But yeah, I honestly believe he can, and the main reason I say that is because we do still have Debo. We got the two rookies. We got Ronnie Bell, Danny Gray. We got the veteran, Chris Conley. I believe he
Juwan Jennings.
My God, how did I forget him? My bad. So it would actually be Debo and probably Juwan starting, and Ricky Purcell would be the third guy coming in, maybe. Maybe. We know how Kyle is with rookies. So it could be Ronnie Bell because he's a second-year guy, right? But either way, I honestly believe we have enough talent on the 90-man roster to do without him. And, I
agree.
He's a player, right? What do you got?
He's a great. Yeah, I agree. He made an amazing catch in the NFC Championship game. A catch that was just amazing to watch live. Having said that, all the great quarterbacks can ball with anyone. Joe Montana balled with Freddie Solomon and Dwight Clark and Russ Francis and John Taylor and Brent Jones as options. I think Brock can do that. I think Brock is the first of the quote unquote soft reboot era of Kyle Shanahan as head coach of the 49ers going forward. I actually predict a big leap in Brock Purdy's, not necessarily numbers, but just accuracy and just velocity with the football.
All right, let's move on up. Melissa, what do you think of that? Can Purdy ball out without Ayuk?
I don't think this is the Harbaugh era, which I am beyond grateful for because somebody even brought that up this week. Is the better coach Shanahan or Harbaugh? And Harbaugh has this obsession with Greg Roman, and I cannot stand Greg Roman. Trust Greg Roman. And in that era, we really had one receiver, which was Michael Crabtree, who I still have a bad taste in my mouth over. So, in that essence, no, we're not so heavily dependent on Brandon. But if I were to give it the option, I would rather have Brandon than Debo. But that's my personal take. But I do think that here's the tricky part, that it's going to be an issue if Debo's, which means that he's going to be out on the important games that matter and he gets hurt and he misses some time. And then everything falls to Juwan and Ronnie and maybe Tay Martin or Ricky Parcell or Jacob Cowing. And then things get kind of dangerous where things get thin. And so in that essence, I am worried about Brandon missing time. It's not that I don't think Brock can compete or to produce without it, but it's just things get really dicey with the Niners when they play hardball with certain positions, and things can snowball in one area where the entire position group gets wiped out and we're chasing our tails trying to fill it. So I honestly don't want to tempt fate, but I think this is just what it's going to be from now on. Every time somebody's up for a new contract, there's going to be some kind of new drama. So,
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I would prefer to keep Brandon and trade Debo because I agree with you. I think Debo's best days are behind him. And he's just, in my opinion, he's a great player. But you're right. He gets injured at the at the most inconvenient time. That stretch in October when we went 0-3, Debo and Trent were on the sidelines.
and the worst part is
What do you
Debo
think?
misses the playoff games, which are really, really important. He leaves us in the lurch in games where Kyle is so heavily dependent on Debo that he tries to like force other players to play Debo like scenarios, which then puts us in a kind of like a backward slide and puts us in a hole in a wall. Like trying to run Jawan Jennings as a running back. I'm the biggest Jawan Jennings fan, but that was ridiculous to see that. And furthermore, Debo had one magic year. Like, let's be honest. Like, we could all appreciate what Debo's done, but he had one magic year in, 2021?
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, he had some nice catches in his rookie year and other nice moments sprinkled throughout his career. But he's not like what the majority of Niner fans try to make him out to be, like this dual Christian McCaffrey, like absolutely necessary weapon. Like, so that's what I'm worried about. That you pay Debo all this money, that you're actually going to lose the top receiver that you do need. So I hope that Brandon stays, but I also hope that the rookies can kind of help balance things out until things get settled. But I don't think we're going to be hurt too badly, but I just don't want to tempt fate. That's where I am at this point.
That's one of my favorite sayings is don't tempt fate. Don't tempt fate. And I've been saying that about this club since 2019. Please don't tempt fate. Please don't say that. One guy said,
What's the question about IU?
nuts.
I don't want to say it's tempt fate. We always think that we're going to be okay, and then for like the last couple of years, we're like scrounging around for corners and safeties and just weird things where we think that we're comfortable and we're never going to have to look towards these guys that are on any rosters. Then we go get a Logan Ryan. So it's just the Niners have made me very cautious in saying that we're going to be fine no matter what, because it's never not fine no matter what.
Yeah.
I think he's coming back, but like I'm just worried about it. He's not practicing with the team right now. So like Nick Bosa did this, Kittle did this, everybody who's getting new contracts been doing this with the Niners. So he will show up pretty soon. But I did hear Pittsburgh's trying to go for him. They're trying to give us two first round picks. I think, is that true?
Yeah,
Are you?
Pittsburgh has been trying to push this narrative that they want Ayuk since way before free agency started. I honestly think it's because Pittsburgh, though they can draft receivers, they don't find legitimate, like, selfless receivers. And so they have that diva issue ever since Antonio Brown. And so Deontay Johnson and Juju Schuster and everyone who's kind of come since then, it is kind of a knucklehead. And now that they're with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and really trying to keep the legacy of Tomlin alive so badly, I think they are really desperate for a proven commodity who will block, who will catch, who will be selfless, who will help the others, who won't be like an uber diva, like demanding the ball like Stefan Diggs. So I believe that they're a legitimate party who's interested in Niner receivers. I think Commanders, for all their faults, are a legitimate fan base, especially with Adam Peters, that wants Niner players because he knows what they're like. But I don't know if the trade talks are real. or if it's just like a perpetual story that ESPN loves rolling out just to create more drama, especially because that's what Adam Schefter lives on. But I do have a worry that there was like some weird tweet I saw where Brandon was like, "Oh, I thought the Niners weren't trading me." That kind of like went viral, and people were freaking out about how he's throwing a hissy fit about that, and how, there was like stuff all last year where Brandon was like watching ESPN and he was like getting upset when his catch was only number 2 on the top 10 plays that ESPN was showing on SportsCenter or something. And so I do think these young athletes now are kind of at a disadvantage where they're so obsessed with watching Twitter and all these main shows, and they don't kind of realize that they're not benefiting the athletes. They're just trying to make stories and get ratings. That might cloud their judgment. And so with it becoming such a big deal within the faithful and elsewhere, that does worry me, since nothing has been kind of figured out yet with Brandon.
And
that
the
he's
other
susceptible.
one too, when he did a phone call with the teammate of the 49ers, he's like, "Oh, the 49ers doesn't want me." So like, I don't know.
I personally, this is what I'd like. BA is obviously not happy. He fought to get out of Shanahan's doghouse, only to be, I guess, has this feeling of all the work he put in, and in his mind, maybe Kyle blew the Super Bowl. Maybe that's just my speculation of his perspective. What I would like, ideally, is to trade Brandon in a second to Washington.
Nah, I want to do
There's
that.
been some stuff thrown around, but first things, I'm going to say hi to the chat, and I got to hand this question off to John Jay.
Yep.
And we'll definitely talk about some of the stuff that's been thrown around.
Yep.
And
Yeah, what's up, 49 throwback?
What up, John Jay?
Hey, Fernando. Hi, Bebop.
Yep.
What's up, Bebop?
Throwback, he's the faithfulest guy everywhere. He's awesome.
Yep.
Don Dotson, good evening.
I love Throwback.
Hi,
What's up, Don?
Don.
How you doing, Don?
Yep.
Hi, Jayla. Hi, Ariel.
And even shout out to the troll.
Nice to meet you.
Even shout out.
Spongy.
Busy beyond a bit. Carcast. You know what? We're missing Carcast right now.
Hey,
but
hey, David, can I interrupt you for like 2 seconds?
Sure.
My audio went out for a little bit. I guess it's the thunder. But somebody was saying something about trading Brandon for a second round pick, or getting a second round pick.
I said that. I said, let me say it again. I said for Terry McLaurin and a second round in 2025.
Yes.
Nah.
I would. Hey, Terry McLaurin's he's a good wide receiver.
Yep.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Scary Terry is like Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's very underappreciated from people who don't really watch the team. The difference is, though, Scary Terry is way more injured and way less dependable than Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, in that respect, that's a little scary for me.
That's true. But anyway, so Damian Lee, what's good, buddy? He says we need to be able to stretch the field to make the offense operate at high efficiency.
Yep.
And Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, what's up, man? He does all kinds of shorts, all sports. Check him out, folks.
What's up, Daniel? What I was going to say,
there's
I was going to add.
Levi at the end of his workout, coming in to say what up. Uh-oh. He's back.
Yep.
The biggest faithful of all.
It's
One
this
of the
guy.
biggest faithful of all. He's all over the place for the 49ers content creators. Jim Everett the Great. And then we got Crazy Juice. What's up, buddy?
Yep.
What up,
all right,
Crazy
John
Juice?
Jay, you want to attack that question, buddy?
About the
it started with will Brock Purdy, play good without Brandon Ayuk, more or less?
Yeah.
Can he, operate without him?
Well, football is the ultimate team sport, and things happen in the NFL. You cannot control it, and so the best quarterbacks know how to play without their number one option. That's just that's just the reality. But when it comes to this Brandon Ayuk situation, like for me, how I just look at it is that it's the off season. Most teams in the NFL sign the players that they want during free agency, and between free agency and during the draft, they sign their players that they want. And the 49ers are never going to change the way they negotiate, and they always wait before the season starts. I don't know why. And so if Brandon Ayuk is just mad that he's not signed yet, he is signed. He's on the 5th-year option. So you are signed. Let's be honest. You're on the team. Now you want to be with the Niners for a long time. You're making that your issue. I want to be here. You say, I want a contract and I want to be here. And that's why he's, complaining and, doing all these like cryptic Instagram, social media stuff. But at the same time, if you feel that you are not valued enough to get signed right now, why don't you just tell your agent, hey, looks like they don't want to sign me right now and I don't want to wait. But the 49ers have all the leverage right now. And they're like, hey, we can trade you because you're under contract. We can do whatever you want with you. So Brandon Ayuk right now does not have the leverage. But if he's not the guy, that's going to be on this team long term, it's a business move. And that's why I really don't care if he's signed or he's gone. I'm still pissed off about Buckner, but again, I can't dwell on that for the rest of my life. And so the Niners have let players go. So I just want to remind people that this is the NFL, and we live now in a more social media world where everything's now out there, and you can't hide from the public no more. So I hope he gets to common sense and realize if you're gonna go to another team on the 49ers, you can make a Super Bowl. If you go somewhere else, I don't think you have a chance unless you go to Kansas City. But how I look at it is Brock Purdy, if he's gone, he'll find a way to win. And if Ayuk doesn't want to be here, then just make it so, because people are going to just continue to write articles and do this and do that. So that's just my take.
Insufferable over the last couple of years with all the drama between the quarterback situation and then Debo, I think the year before that, and then this offseason, Brandon Ayuk, who I never thought would make a big stink about something like this. I thought Debo was bad. This is even worse because he's actively engaging and sprinkling these little things to stir shit up. Sorry for using my French, but he's stirring this stuff up intentionally.
I heard y'all had productive conversations today, though.
I don't
There's
know.
a lot of smoke and mirrors.
I've heard it wasn't productive. I've heard it was productive. But the thing with the Niners is we're not a leaky ship. So the only way anyone's going to find out is if Ayuk says something. And they probably asked him not to. So
I guess you could say productive. It could be subjective in this case. 49ers GM's like, yeah, we had great conversation. We told him the same number. Great. Ayuk on the other side. Fuck this.
Or they could be telling Ayuk, bro, like, will you kind of, stop with the heat on social media, man? Like, this is how we do it. We always sign guys late in the summer. It's just, that's how it is, and I don't know. We don't know what it said. They could have just had some pancakes and BS'd about Cabo for all we know. I mean, none of us know, right? So I honestly believe the meeting was about the stink that's being made in social media about this, and like him saying they don't want me to Jaden Daniels or, but he never said the 49ers don't want me. He wasn't specific about it. Yeah, I'll say that. But he still said they don't want me, kind of implying things. And it just comes a certain point in time where it's like, just kick it, let your let the agent you hired work, right? And see what happens, and I'm sure this is his big payday. So
Yeah, just leave it up to the agent.
This last year he's making what, $14.1 million. I'll probably never see that in my life. I'd be happy to make that.
I know.
But this, we're regular people. We're not athletes, right?
So here's the one thing though with this, and I think it really started a couple years back with Fred Warner. They get asked constantly until everyone is signed, how are talks going? How's this going? How's that going? And the more they see these other athletes get signed before they do, it kind of weighs down on a person. And I do think that it's just gotten a little crazier every year. I mean, there was talk from Trent Williams, and I never thought Trent Williams was going to make like a big stink, but he made a huge stink out of 2020. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, it's just like everybody down the list has made a stink about it. I hope things don't further escalate for the next crop of athletes, whether it's Diamador Lenore or whoever. But for right now, I think it's misinformation perpetuated by this organization, because Kyle Shanahan said he loves when the media is running around chasing their tail, like, coming with these like crazy ass stories and just like going bonkers shit, hitting the wall, like just throwing everything out there kind of thing. And I think that also helps with their mantra, where we want to save and keep our guys, but we never say no to a trade. And so by not defining that Ayuk is saying no matter what, they kind of leave that desperation window for other teams to come calling if that's what they want to do down the line. So
yeah,
I just think we all have to hang in there and keep a level head and just not take anything too seriously or too personal.
Well, he's gonna be on the team this year regardless.
No. I understand that. I'm just saying, like, in general, because I think it's only going to get worse the closer training camp comes and more people freak out about how he's blowing off his teammates and he's being a bad
I think he should
friend
be
and
made an
person
example
and
of.
whatever.
Yeah, awesome.
So
I think there needs to be some sort of precedent set, and I think he needs to be made an example of. That the more you whine on social media, the less we're gonna, be gracious to you. Personally, if I was his boss, if I was Jed York, that's how I would feel, because nobody takes the fans into consideration during all of this. We're the ones being stirred up. We're the ones freaking out. Kyle likes the fact that we're chasing our tails and we don't know anything. Aren't faithful in their decision making because they're not being transparent. They're not trying to get the fans to trust them. And with Brandon, I think there needs to be an example made of. I think Kyle needs to sit down. Jed needs to sit down and say, "Listen, you've done a lot for us, but we've got to move on. There's too much history here. There's too much toxicity here between you and Kyle, and I think it would be best just to get you out of here before the 5th-year option. You're becoming a distraction for the entire Bay Area."
So you're saying Kyle Shanahan reads Sun Tzu Art of War. To confuse your enemy, first you must confuse your allies.
That's what it seems like.
That's a smart analogy if you think about it. Let's confuse everybody else. Let the media run with the bullshit. And then when the season starts, yep, we wasted 6 months blabbing for no reason.
Right.
So
That's funny. Well, you know,
What's
that's
up,
just
darling?
it's contract negotiation time. You know,
Mhm.
like Nick Bosa, we didn't hear a peep out of him. Fred Warner
All right, guys,
didn't
I'm gonna
hear a
do a little
peep
more
out of him,
sprints.
but
I'm
he
getting
showed up to
Russian
camp
Kool-Aid.
and actually kind of signed a little earlier than when they normally sign people.
Bosa was absolutely throwing his weight around last year. Between showing the stuff at him at his brother's gym and him on his yacht, him flying to New York, him flying back, him calling into different radio hosts and stuff. It's just like it feels like every new Niner who's up for contract takes everything that's been kind of done before and then just has to take it to that next step. So it's like how we talk about how contracts, like every guy makes a certain amount of money and then the next guy wants like that one more dollar. And so the next athlete adds that one bit more drama to their negotiating table. It's kind of sickening and I really wish they wouldn't wait until everybody else around the league got paid first, or mostly paid first. But it is what it is. Like every year, there's something that we have to talk about every off season, and I'm just grateful that it's no longer who the hell is going to be the Niners quarterback.
Oh, well, you know that what is it? Mordecai? Is that our undrafted free agent? Is it Mordecai? Is that the guy, Tanner Mordecai?
I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not even attempting to try.
I've been hearing rumors we're going to get this center from Miami. I don't know how true
What?
that is.
Who's talking about Connor Williams, the guard?
Um,
Is he a guard or a center?
he's a center. He's the center for. I don't know if he's the backup or the starter, but he's a center for the Miami Dolphins.
Wasn't Connor Williams the guy that was on the Cowboys a couple years ago and couldn't stay healthy?
Yeah. And that's where I'm at with it. We're looking for guys that are pillars of health. I don't think he fits the mold.
Speaking of
But
health,
yeah, this
has
guy
Brandon
was
ever missed a game?
well, like Leonard Floyd actually hasn't missed a game. A lot of people were saying 2018. Everyone needs to check. It's 2017 last time that guy missed a game. I actually looked. 2017. That's crazy, ain't it? And yeah, he has played center. They just had him listed as O-line last year, but 9 games, so he missed 8.
But here's the thing, though, with Miami, I think this is going to happen more and more often. The more Shanahan people, I think, that are to be spread across the league, the more they're going to say that a former Shanahan team is willing to trade with the Niners. Like, I think that's going to be a bigger, better thing. Like, that's going to happen. And so I think it's only a matter of time before Tennessee and the Commanders and all these other places start to be added to that list.
Oh boy, it's risky. It's risky because I'm looking at things on Connor Williams and pretty significant ACL tear for a 6'5", 13 pounder. That's kind of
That sounds exactly like the kind of person we would sign.
well. That's the
Already
type of
injured.
person we're trying to get away from, though. You know, like this year's
I
crop,
thought
like
you
Malik
were.
Collins, pillar of health. Jordan Elliott, pillar of health. Gross Matos, I think he had some injuries a couple years ago, but last year he didn't miss a game. And it just seems like we're getting away. Even the player, I believe with the college players we drafted, they were all healthy. And it just seems like we're trying to get away from players that could be injury prone, right? Because look at where they got us with D4. We just got done paying him in 2023, right? So he's off the books now. Like Jason Verrett had a really good season. Good corner when he's on the field. But his body won't let him stay on the field, right? And the boomer bust guys like Elijah Mitchell, a couple years ago, he was a good running back, but then he's had a couple knee injuries. And, last year, I think he averaged 3.7 yards a carry. And reports from early camp are he is not looking very good. And that's, a very small sample size. We're not into the full training camp yet. But those are the reports of what people have seen to this point. And I was actually looking at that like, we got this guy named Jordan Mason, and he averages 5.6 yards a carry on his career. Like 6.1, I believe, his first season, and then it was like, it went down. I think it was like 5.1 or 5.2 last year. But still, we have this guy sitting on the bench, but we're running Elijah Mitchell, who was struggling to gain yards for a while there. At the end, he started to catch on. But, throughout the season, he was, every time he'd come in to spell CMC, he'd run up the middle and get 2.5, maybe 3 yards. 2.5, 3 yards. Well, I saw a lot of, I was like, man, like, and they bring in JP Mason and he's, 5 yards, 7 yards, 5 yards. It was like, there's a big difference between.
He looks like Beast Mode 2.0.
Huh? Yeah.
He looks
exactly. Beast Mode 2.0. Exactly. Oh, you're cutting out. But you know what we did? We drafted this guy named Garendo. And while he is not polished, the first several years of his college football career, he played at a place. He didn't get a chance to actually play running back. He was returning kicks, though. And, he was the backup running back. So then he transferred and, was very productive in his first full year as a starter. But, being 6'2", 221 pounds and running a 4.33 40, that's kind of insane. So, and then we got, like, who's that guy? Cody Schrader, the other running back. He was one of the most productive running backs in college football. But, he ran a slow 4.6 something, 40, so he went undrafted and we got him. But, there's going to be some good competition there. And
am I really the only one who doesn't love the 40? Like,
no.
Because I swear, every time I hear people use the 40 as like a detriment against a player or pro for a player, like it absolutely drives me crazy. Because by all definitions, then everyone on this that fans for this team should love Danny Gray because he's so fast. But I've never really seen anything out of him. And yet, Juwan Jennings had a god awful combine. He admits it to this day. And everyone holds that 40 time that he had over his head and thinks that he's such a bum because of one bad 40 time. And it's just, Jerry Rice even admitted he couldn't do the 40. But if you saw Jerry Rice play football, he was just like jaw-droppingly, like you could not take your eyes off him. And it's crazy. I hope this is the last year of Elijah Mitchell, if he even makes this roster. It's just this. I don't think he can stay healthy. I don't think it's what he needs. I think he needs like a fresh system, a new system, somewhere where he's not the guy or he's like the guy behind the guy. So he could just be like a rotational player. I think he needs to play on grass. I think he needs warm weather. So I think somewhere like Miami or whatever. But I do hope that the new running backs will be actually featured, because I think that's one of the things that worries me the most about this year is tight end and running back. Like, are we really going to keep pushing Christian and George to the point where they break? and then just hope to God whoever's behind them can step up. Like, that's a really big worry of mine.
And that's why that's why we got these two young guys, the undrafted free agent, who was one of the most productive running backs in college football. And then, we got the big fast guy, right? And I mean, 40 time, I look at it like this. It's all about game speed. Like Hufunga, he ran a slow 40, but he's got good game speed, right? I mean, he's in rehab, so we'll see what we'll see what happens with him over the course of the next couple months. But it's like Juwan Jennings. He's just got to come in and run his route, get open. He's got a big body too, so he could, you could throw him a 50-50 ball and he can just outbody the other guy. Cody Schrader running a 4.63, I think he ran, and then he goes undrafted after being I think he was the most productive running back in college football. It just doesn't make sense. It's a guy who, even if he's not the fastest, can still, get you yards in the NFL. But Sentinel,
I think some of these guys fall because they don't test well at the combine or at the Senior Bowl or when they're interviewed by these teams, and I think that kind of hurts them and they fall under the water, or like certain teams, they start panicking when they see these like patterns where players start going off at certain positions, and so somebody kind of falls through the cracks. So I'm hopeful. I mean, we've had some really good luck with undrafted free agents, but
General Blade.
I love Bebop.
It's funny.
Bebop.
That was Kenny. That's
Yeah.
Kenny.
Yeah, it was Kenny.
What up, Kenny?
Hi, Kenny.
Yeah, if you got time you want to come, I can email you the link. But there's Carcast. I sent you the link already, but he might be busy. He's a young man. It's summertime.
Yep.
Oh. There you go. Jim Edwards' nickname. But yeah, I mean, at this point, it's oh shit, here we go. But at this point, it's all about what can the team do, right? Is Ayuk going to be signed? Ooh, I'm just kicking back and waiting for the news. You got it, buddy. And Jim Everett.
The troll.
They actually called him that?
General Blade.
I wouldn't even
Is it Jim Everett?
No. He was there earlier calling you a
No, that's not what that's not what's being said. Kenny said General Blade was Jim Everett's nickname. Jim Everett the Great nickname, General Blade. And my response was, General? He was no general. He was barely even a grunt out there.
Isn't he
He
only known?
self-sacks themselves.
Isn't he only known for the incident with Jim Rome?
No,
Because he wasn't a good quarterback.
he was a terrible quarterback.
So yeah, he's not really known for nothing then.
Yeah. Actually, Jim Everett, the troll, has actually made him more relevant than I didn't even know there was a Jim Everett until that guy popped up.
Yeah, like someone is doing a documentary of Jim Everett and Jim Rome on one of those like streaming services about that incident.
All right, Kenny should be in your inbox any second. But it's just it's always the off season. Oh, we have a contract dispute going on. Oh, but then unfollow us. I'm unfollowing the 49ers on Instagram. That's a lot of people are like, should you think something of it? Okay, this ain't the first time this has happened. So no, I don't think anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I think anything of anything is when I hear a news report from the 49ers that we signed the guy or we traded the guy. At this point, everything, it's all speculation. Like, Ayuk to the Steelers. All right, that's coming from the Pittsburgh media. It's not necessarily coming from our guys. Like, we had a guy that reported about it, and, I won't say his name, but his report was just reflecting what the Pittsburgh media folks said. So, and that's where he got, his info. So they're the ones pushing for the Steelers to trade for either Debo or Ayuk. And are they going to? Who knows? All yet to be seen. But honestly, I look at it like Adam Peters is in Washington. And, you got Ayuk hanging out with their QB in the offseason. So could that become a thing? Yes, it definitely could.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, is Washington, now they have a rookie quarterback under contract. They might just want to keep, Scary Terry and, acquire Ayuk. But it's still like, I'm not just down to give them up for draft picks next year. I'm not. We're in Super Bowl. We're a Super Bowl ready team right now. So why would we trade one of our, higher end assets for draft picks next year? This makes no sense. You would have to get a player that could help us right now, and then possibly draft picks. And it wouldn't be a first rounder because they're giving us a player that could help us right now, right?
Right.
So, and this is just how I look at it. Like, I think I was talking to Damien, and he threw out, what's his name? Josh Allen? No. The defensive lineman for the Washington Commanders?
Jonathan Allen?
Jonathan Allen. There we go. And
Josh Allen is in Jacksonville.
It's not necessarily a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. He's 29.
Here's the thing about the defensive line these days. If we meet the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again, it's not going to matter because their offensive line is going to hold the D line, and the refs won't call it anyways. That's how I
agree.
see it. At least with the corners and this.
We need more firepower on offense than defense, especially defensive line right now. Like the Chiefs get away with tons of crap. It's not even funny at this point what they get away with.
Weren't they the most penalized team in the regular season last year?
Their offensive line was by far the most penalized.
Okay, so that tied into when Patrick was kind of losing his temper and he got sick that one week, and they were dropping balls left and right. And so that was like at that one little time where the Chiefs fans suffered for like maybe a month and a half. But once they started getting hot and once they started becoming, the Chiefs who were going into the playoffs, who won the division and stuff like that, then that's when everything kind of started cooling down again. I would like to say that it's not going to be that way again this year, but it's just, they love the idea that they're two-peat champions. They keep pushing this whole three-peat champion thing, and just it is what it is. The only way to really truly take down Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid is to have such a dynamic offense that they don't ever even see the field. I mean, look at the Ravens. They had that dominant defense last year, and their offense couldn't do anything, and the Chiefs just snowballed them because nobody could answer what the offense could do.
They only got 7 points.
the point was that they wore them down. Corona. It doesn't matter what the score is. It's the constant, having to pick up all the slack that just grinds on you. And even if you are that healthy at the end of the year, it's just that constant mental struggle where you don't feel like your opposite side of the ball is helping you out. That wears on you. That cripples you. That causes you to fight like the Rams do, and they start throwing punches at each other. Like, that's what this team needs. This team needs to be able to rely on both sides of the ball and to not falter. And that's why I think this Brendan Ayuk thing is such a big red flag for so many people, because we're worried that this is going to completely crippleize our offense, whether we want to admit it or not.
Yep, you're right. Yeah, we need somebody to step up in the if we make it to the Super Bowl again. Step up. If referees don't call the flags like they've been doing the last couple of years, they always give it to Kansas City. I don't know why, but it's like it's getting ridiculous.
Hey guys.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
What's up, Kenny?
There's Kenny. Kenny's in the house. Don't mind me. I got an ankle thing I'm walking off right now.
Oh boy. David's trying to saw off his ankle bracelet.
Oh, I have bolt cutters.
Don't do that. The cops will be at your house in 2 seconds.
Yeah, it makes a loud noise too.
Yeah, it does.
I just stick it in the pool until it shorts out.
Nah, you can't even go in the pool.
No, I know.
Kenny, what's your take on everything?
What are we talking about?
Ayuk.
Ayuk is on fire. He's
The
Brock's,
first question of the night was will Brock thrive? Will Brock thrive without Ayuk?
Absolutely. I was watching Guy Haberman and David Lombardi today, and they showed a chart. And I know people don't like charts and graphs. I love them. But they pulled out a chart, and it explained that Brock in his first 2 seasons is one of the best quarterbacks in the last 2 decades. And there was names up there like Rodgers, Breeze, Manning, Brady. I mean, this is who he's up there with, being compared to at this point. And I believe at this point he's also the best quarterback ever in his first 2 years, or in the amount of games that he's played. No one's done it better.
They said Brock Purdy's gonna break out this year and possibly win the Super Bowl this year.
I say this year is our year. I didn't think it was last year. I just didn't feel it. I think this year is our year. I think we have to spoil the three-peat that seems inevitable.
And maybe they will figure out that if we go to overtime again, you know what I mean?
I think it was supposed to go to 2 overtimes last time, but that's my conspiracy theory. I heard
They have to practice that.
On a
They have to practice. They have to practice it. Say they go overtime again. They have to practice. You know.
I just hope Joe Burrow or Josh Allen eliminates Mahomes out of the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Joe Burrow.
At this point, I have more faith in CJ Stroud, because let's be honest, Joe Burrow can't stay healthy, and Josh Allen has become the Dak Prescott of the AFC, and he just chokes in the playoffs.
And he lost Diggs.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Like Tom Brady.
Bills don't have the team that they used to have.
Like Tom Brady said.
And that defense is completely like ripped apart. Like,
yeah.
Like Tom
Bills,
Brady said, Mike Evans stayed with me forever till I retire, and then Hill left Mahomes, and Brady told Josh Allen, "Oh, you'll lose somebody pretty soon," and he lost Diggs.
Well, you know
yeah,
what?
but Corona, that was a long time running. Like, Stephon Diggs was pulling like every diva tantrum he could.
Yeah, for a while.
And that that was beyond toxic, especially the way that Josh Allen choked that last Kansas City game in the playoffs. Like, you saw the two of them like literally almost like punch each other in the head. Like, it got that
They should have won
bad.
that. Buffalo should have won that.
Heard
But
that about Buffalo. They were fighting with him way
But
before.
but here's the thing,
Yeah.
though. Like, the Buffalo Bills at this point, like, let's be honest. Whether Rodgers stays healthy or not, like, they'll be lucky if they win that division. And that's, like, their ceiling right now. Like, this
Is
is
the
not...
AFC East you're saying, Melissa?
Yeah, like,
I think it's going to be Miami.
I don't believe in Tua, but Miami has, like, a better chance because that defense, I think, is going to be a lot better without Fangio. You're going to have the Patriots with a brand new head coach, brand new energy, brand new quarterback. Like, it is not easy for the Bills to just say that they're going to make the playoffs. Like, out of everyone in the AFC, I think they have the most pressure to not only make the playoffs, but actually make a statement in the playoffs.
Well, people always say, like, if you have a quarterback like Rodgers, and if someone has a quarterback at that caliber, the quarterback alone gets you like 9 to 10 wins. So you got to figure the Jets are going to be fine.
Okay, but here's
Miami's
the thing.
going to win games too. So how is the Bills going to make it to the playoffs?
Aaron Rodgers is, what, 40 or just shy of 40 right now?
He's old.
He's coming off a major injury. They just retooled the entire offensive line again. And they have Tyron Smith and a whole bunch of like really old veterans who also have issues staying healthy. I know they got some younger guys too, but that was a huge story last year that he hated the offensive line. And he was actually there for camp and all the other stuff to ingratiate himself with the Jet players.
Yeah.
This year, he's been blowing them off. He won't take their calls. He's not working with any of the old athletes or the new athletes. And Rodgers has this thing in the last couple of years. I don't know if any of you guys noticed this pattern, but he comes in day one expecting like everyone to be just on the same page with him, like Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes out really bad week one. Like, they got like slaughtered by the Saints a couple of years ago, and they like no-showed in that game. And he always has this weird thing with the Niners. So I think it's going to be hard for the Jets to get momentum. I also think that Saleh, whether he wants to admit it or not, he's like on the hot seat. But like I said, it's definitely going to be interesting. I really hope the AFC doesn't turn into the AFC of like 10 years ago, where they all kind of rolled over for the Patriots. Like they would see the Patriots as their opponent, and they was just like, okay, Patriots, go to another Super Bowl, go to another AFC championship. Like, that is concerning for me.
Well, Rodgers is mad.
Well,
We didn't draft him, and we took Alex Smith, and it's been great for him. It's made him an incredible chip on the shoulder guy. I think it's really helped him win all those MVPs. If you want my honest opinion on it, I think that's his whole drive, is to prove that we made a mistake, and he's done a good job.
But he only won one Super Bowl.
Yeah,
That was 2007.
2010.
You
I
only
think
win
that kinda
usually you win really early in your career.
I hate to
for
say it,
quarterback
right.
or really late.
Okay, but here's the thing with
It was
here's the thing with Aaron Rodgers. Nobody wants to admit this. He barely got past Jay Cutler, who got hurt, and Caleb Haney in the championship game, and he's never won a single championship game outside of that one Bears game. It's not to say that he didn't win his Super Bowl and he didn't take on the Steelers, but to get to where he wanted to go, he barely got through the Browns and Lovie Smith.
This is why I always try and remind people, like, it's hard to win a Super Bowl. You could be the best player on the best team, and you're still not going to win that. It doesn't mean you're going to win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs weren't the best team last year.
I don't know.
Yeah, they just
I'm
locked
sure.
down.
They're a better coach team, to be honest.
Yeah, they
If
had
you
a
want
great
me to
DC.
be completely honest, it's not just Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes is that guy. He's 80s. He's the 80s Montana. When he steps on the field, people are scared. But they've got Steve Spagnuolo as a defensive coordinator. They've got Andy Reid as a head coach.
Yeah,
They've
and
got some of the best coaches out of the league on that team.
oh yeah. You know what they didn't have? A wide receiver. But they won the
It's
Super
true
Bowl.
because you don't need a wide.
They still won.
But they still won the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
and here we are trying to hold on to like 3 different major wide. It's like I love Kyle, and I love the Niners, but I look at what the Kansas City Chiefs do, right? And we don't do that.
Mhm.
They're like a step ahead of us. It's kind of embarrassing, and it's not
It is.
a knock on Kyle as much as it is like look, Reed has been doing this shit for a long ass time, and he got kicked out of somewhere because he couldn't win big
It's
games.
reflection.
It takes time. People have to remember that. There's only been like 5 coaches to ever win a Super Bowl in the first like 6 or 7 years, and those names are like Landry, Madden, Lombardi. Like these names, you know what I'm saying? Like these are like legendary, like black and white pictures at the Hall of Fame people. But like Kyle, if he can't give you a Super Bowl in 5, 6, 7, everyone's gonna throw him out in the garbage. I don't feel that way. I'm someone who like, why am I gonna go and find yet another coach and try and start this from the beginning? That's just how I feel about it. So I think Kyle obviously wants to win, and York wants to win. People say that we don't win. I think it's
Can I push back on that a little bit?
yeah. It's
Can I
all
push back on? My rebuttal is that we're in a situation now where we're good enough to satisfy the fans, but not good enough to win Super Bowls. And so we're going to rely the NFL is going to rely on us as a legacy team. Kyle, in my opinion, wants to win the Super Bowl his way. He doesn't want to look at the guys who beat him and say, what can I learn from this loss in order to beat this team in this situation again?
I agree.
And that ego of his is going to prevent him from attaining that Landry status, that Walsh status. You know what I mean? That Chuck Noll status.
Yeah.
Because you have to, you can't do everything. And he micromanages every.
I think the worst thing that Kyle has against him is not just the ego, it's that he has such a hard belief in his father's system that he thinks that the way his father handled things is the way to do it forever. And the league has changed, and
Yeah.
not for nothing, like you can't run someone like they ran Terrell Davis back then. Like it's just
Terrell
not
Davis was a
possible.
6th-round draft pick, just like Eli Mitchell.
I
You
know
could
that.
also play defense. You could also play defense back then.
It's just I love my coach. I love my team. I have hope, but at this point, we're on a 3 Super Bowl losing streak. Like, I'm not gonna get my hopes up until the confetti falls for the Niners, and even then, like somebody might have to actually punch me in the face and wake me up and make me believe it, because this is where we're at.
Yeah.
Yep. I know. I've been saying this for not just as a content creator. I've been saying this for years. When I was a kid, I was very fortunate enough to see the final years of Steve Young and those guys. I saw the Jeff Garcia teams, so I saw the Niners in the playoffs. And then we were horrible for so long. And then Harbaugh came in here, changed the culture. And then we were bad again. So, like, I've seen this before. And I'm not going to apologize for saying this. I agree with what you just said. Until we win the Super Bowl, every year is another wasted year. And that's why I never put my hopes up. I always say, I take one game at a time, one win at a time, all the way to the end of the season. Then the playoffs are a new year. And then when you make it to the Super Bowl, that's a new playoff. It's a 1-game playoff.
Here's why I don't think it's a waste of time. because scientists, they fuck up all the time. They make tons of mistakes before they get it right. And these are the smartest people on the planet. So you're allowed to make mistakes. If you look at the Niners' records, they never lose, guys. We are complaining about a team that never loses. Even in the playoffs, they never lose.
Whoa.
They lose the game to the team that wins the Super Bowl. That's who they lose to.
Okay, but here's the difference, though. These defensive players were in love with Saleh. They were in love with D'Amico because he was under Saleh, so that they kind of got all brought in and
that's
drafted.
Right. They're not 8-year-old kindergartners. These are grown
okay,
men.
Can I finish and then you can rebuttal?
You can't get attached to a grown man. Like, that's ridiculous.
Okay, here's the thing that last year showed me, which is very concerning for me. You went on like a 5-game winning streak and everything was peachy keen after the Dallas game, right? And then things crippled. I mean, absolutely crumbled on defense as soon as that the loss to the Vikings happened, and they went on that in the Cleveland game and the Bengals game. And here's the thing: I don't know if these players are mature enough to get out of their own egos or to adapt to another stranger, but that really is concerning for me, especially with so many vets now gone, with Sean Gibson gone and everything else. How these guys are going to handle losses and things struggling and bad performances. Are they going to throw another defensive coordinator under a bus? Like, these are things I don't think people really are talking about or want to admit about our stars on defense, but you don't have an Arik Armstead anymore. You don't have these big beacons that kind of calm things down or ground things and kind of bring that perspective of how bad things can really, really get. And that is very concerning for me as a defensive fan, especially now that you have the no drop hit tackle thing, and it's just harder and harder for you guys to do the job week in and week out. Like, that kind of is a concern of mine. Is that going to be corrected this offseason? Is this not going to be an issue this year? Was that like a one-time thing? Or is it going to be like kind of like a Dallas thing where it just snowballs every year and it gets worse?
Well, here's the thing, right? I just said we almost never lose, and that's a fact. Now let's talk about those 3 losses. Those 3 losses came right before our bye was supposed to be there. We were exhausted. We played the 10 a.m. game in Cleveland in the morning. It was gray. It was cold. It was the first game we played like that. Brock was semi-concussed. Trent and Debo were injured in that game. And we only lost because the referee screwed us. Because Oliver caused a fumble. Somebody picked it up, ran it into the end zone right before the half. Game was over. But the ref came up with some nonsense saying that the quarterback threw it. Okay, so the ref stole that game from us. Moody missed a kick. That is what it came down to. So we lost that game not because of Spagnuolo's press defense and Josh Schwartz's defense, how good they are. We won that game. We had some bad luck and we lost that game. We were tired. It was early and we traveled halfway across the country. Then we lost the Minnesota game because Wilkes made an awful call, and so did Ward, on a cover 0, 10 seconds, 37 seconds, whenever it was before the half again. When we had that game done, we were going to win that game. So, then we had the cover 0, and instead of knocking that ball down like an experienced, high-paid WR1 does, he goes for the interception. The ball gets ripped out of his hand. The guy runs it all the way back. Touchdown. Another game we lost on 1 play, maybe 2. The Bengals game, we lost. Brock was semi-concussed still, playing, maybe when he shouldn't have been. We still had injuries. And again, we traveled all the way to Cincinnati, played the early game, and that was the week before our bye.
No. They played here.
Cincinnati came to us.
They played here, and also like
the week before our bye, right?
So I want to point out something. Fred Warner had an interception, and we had the ball inside the 20-yard line.
Let me just make the point, and then it's all you guys. My point is, we rarely lose, and when we lose, it's either bad luck, the ref hosed us, somebody was injured. You guys want to put this on somebody. I don't know how you do that. This is a team sport.
So here's the thing. here's the thing: the Niners are never going to go undefeated. They're never going to go 17-0, and we're not going to run through the playoffs. That's
That's
never
not
gonna...
the rule book as a requirement in football. It means nothing.
I know. So again, like you said, the only reasons why we lost is because there was excuses. You lose in the end. I knew that we were going
You
to
can
lose.
call them excuses. I say reasons why we.
Okay. Here's the point. Losses happen in the NFL, and so we can always nitpick of all that stuff. But I want to point something out because you said that the referees, the referees made a bunch of bad calls in that game. I'm not going to apologize for the referees, but when your middle linebacker intercepts the ball and we're in field goal range, and then we have a bad sequence where we had 2 penalties in a row that moves us all the way back, which caused our kicker to miss that kick. Okay, and even though I was always critical on Jake Moody, I always gave the kid the benefit of the doubt. So if we did not screw up, we could have scored a touchdown, or at worst case scenario, got a field goal. And so that final sequence at the end of the game, the teams still have to execute the plays. You also mentioned something very, very honest. When there were seconds left on the clock, our cornerback had the ball, and when I watched the play live, I saw the ball in Ward's hand, but somehow the ball just came out of his hand. So I'm not saying that the ball was ripped off, like he had it, but the receiver fought for the ball. Things like that happen. And then when it came to the Bengals game,
But here's the point: that he had to knock that ball down.
and that's how you play
he went
football.
he went for the interception.
And that's how you play football. Like the receiver's like, okay, I'm just gonna let him
You
go.
can play football that way, but there's the high IQ way, and then there's the selfish interception stats way.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's why he did it. I'm just saying, high IQ, 200 IQ football player knocks it down.
So if you have a chance, and again, the ball was taken away, okay? It's not like, oh, I'm going to bat the ball away, okay?
No, I know, but he wasn't going to run it back. There was like seconds.
But it doesn't matter.
Clock.
Like if you're able to get the ball and he tackles you, you take a knee, halftime. At the end of the day, it happened. Like, we're dwelling on something that happened almost a year ago.
No, I'm not hampering on it. I just want to remember why we lose games by these very small moments. Handfuls of moments are why we lose games, and we lose handfuls of games. So I'm not going to be mad at Kyle.
Okay. I think we're talking about Travis Ward versus Jordan Addison last year. And the reason why he did the thing before halftime was that there was a similar play earlier in the game that he got the ball away from Addison. And so he believed he could get away with it a second time. But Jordan Addison was not going to be made a fool twice. And so, like a smart young rookie, he ran the ball down the field and he got the touchdown. And that changed momentum. And I'm not nitpicking or saying that the Niners are going to win 17 games and go on a 20-0 record and break all kinds of records and be the first team to go 20-0 and win the Super Bowl. Why I bring up this 3-game losing streak is not to harp or place blame, but there was a lot of concerning shit that came out of that time period where Fred Warner and Nick Bosa were talking about how they loved Steve Wilkes because he was letting them kind of like make up plays where they were putting like 7 or like 5 or to 6 guys on the defensive line, and they got freedom and everything else, and everything was peachy. And then as soon as things got hard, they turned on him, and they turned on him really badly, throwing him under the bus at press conferences, complaining that they couldn't make the defense work unless he was out of the box.
Well, Kyle and John hired. That's they hired him. So
I know you guys missed your favorite.
That's my point right now. Like, I'm not trying to change the narrative or to say that it's going to happen again or whatever, but that is a fear of mine, and I think it's a legitimate fear for a lot of people that these players may not grow from that experience and might go back to that bad behavior. Go on, Spongy.
What's up, Sponge?
I thought that was CarCast. Oh, it's Spongy. He's got big dom.
It's Sponge.
Does anybody know who my avatar is?
It cuts off. All I see is a suit. I don't see the face.
It's Ronnie Lott.
Yeah, it is. It's the It's the Hitman poster from the. You guys remember those posters
Hmm.
in the
Yeah,
80s? They
that's
were
Ronnie
all.
Lott. Yep,
Yeah. Yep.
that's
I know,
awesome.
I love to use this term. Football or sports is subjective. There's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
There's no
All
right
right,
or
I'm
wrong.
back. I'm back.
Yeah,
And
there's
so,
no. You know what? There's nobody that we see every day on TV, on ESPN, on NFL Network or NFL on NBC. None of those channels. Nobody's ever right all the time. It's very rare that people are ever right. It's
so
very hard to predict the future.
now I am so grateful that the conversation like took a little twist this way, because I want to take a quote that I heard, because I've been watching, like soccer the last couple of weeks, and I know it has nothing to do with football, but I do want to take a quote from the one of the guys who covered the game. It's like, you don't need to have a Super Bowl, you don't need to be an MVP, you don't need to be Patrick Mahomes to have an opinion about your football team or any sport in general. And so if a person like us who has different views on how we look at the team, if we're going to be told that we cannot have that opinion, then what is the point of sports talk? Because
Yeah.
what the people in the big networks do is the same thing. They get paid millions of dollars. We don't. They get to be on television. We don't. They
Yeah.
get to write their articles, and they get to preach their propaganda. And us, we don't have that luxury. So the reason why I'm taking this quote is that we can talk about the 3-game losing streak, why we lost the Super Bowl, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I love this term. If I cannot criticize the team that I love, and I'm talking about all my favorite sports teams, that you're telling me to not have an opinion, because I have the right to criticize Kyle if I want to. Is Kyle a bad coach? No. But I do get to criticize him. And I'm also a former player. So as a former player and a former coach, I look at it very differently. And so I'm not saying my opinion is better than anyone's, but I always look at that perspective. And that's why a lot of people don't like the things that I say. So when you look at the 3-game losing streak, why we lost, it happens. It's sports. The Chiefs are not going to say, "Oh, all right, let's just punt the ball," and then they won the game. No, they got the ball, they ran it down our throats because they wanted to win, and we didn't.
Yeah, because y'all suck.
Whatever, Spongy. And the point of the matter,
Spongy.
and the point of the matter is like I understand, that everyone gets very like angry when Kyle doesn't finish the job, but it's been documented. People have made YouTube videos, and people have posted even on small local Bay Area networks about why Kyle in the big moments cannot finish the job. It's a question. And if someone gets a little bit offended about the question, then again, let's go back to the quote. You don't need to have a Super Bowl or be Patrick Mahomes to have criticism about sports topics. So
I have a problem judging people solely on these Super Bowls. This is what I have the biggest problem with. There are amazing players and amazing coaches that never won Super Bowls. We don't forget about them. They existed. They were incredible players out there who never won a Super Bowl, like Bruce Smith and Reggie White. There's people who are amazing, Dan Marino, and I'm just making a point that when all you care about the Super Bowl, I don't get that. Okay, because no trophy comes to my house. I don't get a little ring in a box from Jostens that comes here. I get to watch my team play deep into January. That's all I care about. If they're in the Super Bowl, I'm super psyched. But if they win, I don't get upset about it. Because I just watched my favorite team play into February for free. And so I never get upset about that. That's just me.
I know. Like I said, sports is subjective, but I just try to put some perspective why people have their opinions of, oh, Kyle's bad, yada yada. I try to put perspective, and at the end of the day, I don't want Kyle to go. I don't want him to go. Like I'm not like a guy. Oh, he needs to be fired because he lost again. And so
I wouldn't mind if he moved to being offensive coordinator or into the booth or into the office and stayed here and still consulted. We can move on to people, but we have to, who though? Who?
Yeah. Now, if I was Chad York, which I'm glad I'm not, because I got my opinions about him. But if I was Chad York, I said, "Hey, we keep losing. What do you need me to do?
Pay
What do
more
you need
money.
me to do? I am your owner. I want to see a ring. This is my organization. Let's remind everybody, this is not Kyle's organization. This is the Yorks family, and it's hard pain for me to say that.
Mm.
So eventually, Chad York is going to get tired of like, okay, we're winning, the stadium's filled up, the merchandise are being bought, the television rights, all that stuff. I'm getting my chunk of change.
Boo, boo.
But at the end of the day, when will it be where and this is the reason why I say this, is that I hope we are not the Cowboys of California, that because Jerry Jones, he had a coach for over a decade who was 500, and he never got fired.
Yeah.
And I don't want us to be like that.
Well, I know you guys know.
We already are.
I know you guys know that, like, Kansas City, everybody holds them up on this pedestal now, right? And that's fine, okay? They had the Michael Jordan of football and the Scottie Pippen, and it's all good. Like, that's fine. But they didn't win for 50 years in a row. Okay? Nobody talks about that because their fans don't even know that. They just got their fans in the last few years.
Exactly.
Okay? They're all BS fans.
And they're all Swift.
BS fans. They don't even know the history of their own team. Okay, so yeah, we've waited a long time. Some teams have never won. There's 12 teams that have never won. And so you just have to keep that in your mind. If you really think that the 49ers don't want to win the Super Bowl, I think that you're crazy. That's all. And I also want to say I respect everyone's opinion. I think all opinions are fine and they're all have merit.
I know.
I don't think any opinion is better than anyone else's.
I completely agree with what you just said, Kenny. The only problem I have is that Kyle Shanahan. There are kids who were born after 1995 who are now adults, probably with their own children,
Yeah, I'm with
who
you there.
have never seen us win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I do remember those.
And we know that we're a heralded franchise, and we're probably talking to our kids or our nephews or other younger fans and saying, "Wow, you should have been there when it was Montana. Or you should have been there when it was Steve Young." So they have there's this expectation that we set back then that we're living off of, that we need to reinforce for these younger fans, because I wasn't angry when we lost the Super Bowl the second time to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Swifties were happy.
I was angry. I wasn't depressed. I was angry. And the reason I was angry was because I was going around and I saw 15-year-old Niner fans with their own YouTube channel just heartbroken. And it pissed me off legitimately, because it's like, okay, now this is affecting these stupid decisions that Kyle is making is affecting the outcome of a very that game should have been a blowout. Blowout. It should have been 38-10 easily.
That's
just my opinion, Kenny.
You know who wasn't disappointed? This guy right here.
I know you.
Spongy has only grown up as a champion.
Well,
yes.
So I remember when my baseball team.
So Spongy wasn't there when the Chiefs completely mollywopped Jalen Hurts and completely broke the Eagles' back?
Jalen Hurts was the better quarterback in that game. You can go look at the stats, too.
Doesn't matter, though. Did he win the ring?
He still lost.
Wait,
he still lost.
Did he win the ring? Did he choke it when it came down to it?
So
you know who else choked your game? Christian McCaffrey.
We know, Spongy. Christian McCaffrey fumbles the ball. Jimmy Garoppolo overthrew a freaking wide-ass open receiver. We know the Niner history. We do not need an Eagle fan being bitchy and telling us what we need to know.
For years.
Okay. So who choked the 2022 Super Bowl in the Eagles?
Us.
Okay. Also, I want to point out, at least my franchise does not have a French fry. That's all I have to say. Shout out to YTC.
Well, y'all have 6 French fries. So.
Hey, the Niners better than I thought.
heck is a French fry mean?
It's a
I have
French fry.
to agree with Bebop here. ESPN is a joke.
Well, I don't.
Factual.
What were we talking about?
I don't know.
ESPN has become a joke ever since Stephen A. Smith became the face of the network. And they constantly have to push their stupid, ridiculous Cowboys narratives because it gives them ratings no matter what they say about the Cowboys. And when Ryan Clark said what Ryan Clark said, and the entire network backed him up about saying how he had to pretend that the hardest thing he ever had to do was say that Brock Purdy was a legitimate MVP contender last year, and that was harder than his multiple organ damage and everything he survived through with football to continually play football.
Hmm.
Hey,
That's
can I say something
when
real quick?
ESPN completely sold itself out to just push narratives and piss off fans.
Oh yeah, that's
Can I
all
say
about
something real
TV's
quick?
all about ratings.
Yeah, that was like 10 minutes ago, Kenny. So I'm not sure.
Sorry,
what
yeah, I'm sorry, Bebop.
You know, by
But
the
yeah,
way,
yeah, I agree with him. I'm not
by
a
the
fan
way,
of ESPN.
No, I
y'all
haven't
are
watched
not.
those channels in
Y'all are
so
not
long.
keeping. Y'all are not keeping Brandon Ayuk. I'll leave it at that. He is going to be a Washington Commander.
You know
He's not
what?
going over there.
I mean, if he wants to
You
be
should
there,
be on your knees
really
and
don't.
praying to God that he does not become a commander. I swear to you, Spongy, you're
Yeah, that-
never gonna see the division championship ever again if that
no,
happens.
if they were able to get BA,
Because if
this year,
if it's
be a
the
problem.
Cowboys and a legitimate other team constantly fighting for who's going to trade off for division champion, I'm sorry, the Eagles will just be right above the
Oh,
Giants
okay.
because the
okay,
Giants are
whatever.
so awful that they will always have fourth in your division.
Mhm.
That's factual.
Like,
Shout out
you
to
should
YTC.
be
For some
begging
reason,
on
I
your
always-
knees that Brandon Ayuk does not become a commander.
You know what's funny? Ever since I was little, and I grew up in New Jersey, I always thought like the Jets were in New York, but the Giants were definitely in New Jersey for some reason. Like I know they were both from, they both play in New Jersey, but I just separated.
Okay, so when we were younger, the Jets used to run everything out of New York, but then they moved everything to Florham Park, New Jersey. So
Yeah.
now both are technically in Jersey, but
I think
the
right up
difference
next
is
door.
that the Giants run everything out of MetLife,
Yeah.
and they're both just hot messes. Like, let's be honest.
Do you remember when it was the Brendan Byrne Arena, Melissa?
Lord.
It used to be called the Brendan Byrne Arena, where the
I remember when the New Jersey Devils used to be actually at Giant Stadium, right outside Giant Stadium, and we had the
Wow.
Nets, and we had actually two professional football teams, and now we have barely the
Generals?
Devils that are in South Jersey, and now the Nets are in Brooklyn, and they wear black, and
the
God, it's awful.
last hockey game I went to was the Islanders. So that's awesome. It was their last season.
So, Spongy, are we getting any more excited for your game against the Packers?
I'm getting excited. We got
Breaking
63
in
days left or something.
Brazil?
Oh, sorry. We got 69 days left, guys. 69 days.
And Green Bay's gonna win that game too.
No.
You're gonna get slaughtered by Green Bay.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
Your run defense sucks.
In division, in conference loss, day one.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is going to be on Friday. Who even gets that game? Is it ABC, NBC, CBS?
No, it's usually
Is it
CBS.
Prime Video?
Early game, boring game.
No, it's Friday night.
Oh, that's probably
So,
Yeah, the
crazy
like
thing
5
is,
o'clock.
so the crazy thing
95.
is that Thursday gets the Chiefs and Ravens because that's when they're going to put up the banner, and then the next night they're having Packers versus the Eagles, the very first game in Brazil.
They might as well have
So,
they might as well have to do a Saturday and Sunday.
Man, Brazil's humid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jersey
It could be like a Peacock thing, or maybe they're gonna put it on NFL Network exclusive.
Oh, they
but
said it's gonna be on Netflix.
No, it's on Netflix because it's international.
Yeah,
No.
Oh, okay.
The only Netflix games are on.
No, Netflix is getting
Christmas.
all the international games in the future.
Oh.
Okay,
Well, they
because
are
I
spanning
know
the 7 seas.
I know
I don't like
Netflix is
Netflix.
definitely getting the Ravens Texans game on Christmas Day, which pisses me
Yeah.
off.
And
It's a good game.
Chiefs,
There's a Jets Texans game also that's going to be real good.
Can I just say that the game I think is going to be the most fun for even non-fans of both organizations? It's going to be
The
the
Raiders.
Dallas. No, it's going to be the Dallas Texans game because just everything is going to go batshit crazy when the Cowboys lose to CJ Stroud.
Any good team they lose to.
Yeah, but it's going to be like the entire state of Texas is going to turn
The
on
Cowboys
Dak
are gonna be
Prescott so
they're gonna
fast.
be just terrible this year. Do you think Jerry's going to try to tank?
10 straight games with a home run.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Pitching must be real bad.
Hey! I know this is a football show, but
Is
I have
it?
a question for John Jay.
That's right. Home run? I didn't know home runs are playing in the NFL.
All right. What's up, Sponge?
I thought it was a Pokemon move.
Well, what are your thoughts on Paul George possibly going to your basketball team on a
Who?
4-year max contract?
Paul George.
He's going to your team, Spongy.
No, the Warriors are really, really, really interested in him.
Nah,
Even max.
Who?
nah, that guy from the 76ers, he already said he's coming to the 76ers.
No, he's going to the
I haven't
Warriors.
heard any-
MB.
I haven't heard any
No,
basketball
just
news
because
about
they
my
were
team,
freaking-
and I personally don't care.
I'll send it to you on Instagram, John, if you want to see it.
Did you see who did you guys pick from the draft?
Yeah,
You
Jeremy
you,
King.
you snagged my guy.
Yeah,
So I got the other guy from Tennessee.
yeah, that was a pretty good pick.
Anyway,
Huh?
Did you guys like the
was a
the
good
pick
pick.
from the Bulls? Their hometown kid?
so
Yeah, Montas Buzelis.
yes,
That was a good pick, Spongy, for us.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I kind of wanted him, but I also wanted McCain more. So
that sounds all great, but like Corey Davis said, this is a football channel.
Yeah.
Shout out to Corey. That's somebody.
How we done
Hey,
this?
David Corona,
Oh,
this
my
is a
goodness.
football channel, not a baseball channel. he
That's right.
used to tell me that all the time. He said, David Corona, this is not a baseball channel, this is a football channel.
Shout out to Corey. For
I'm going to start
Yep, shout
covering
out to Korey.
rugby games. Philly faithful.
You want to know what I want to happen for the Philadelphia football team? Like after they play against the Packers, they should just stay there.
well, the cartel is there.
It's not a bad place. I mean,
other whole civilizations have disappeared in South America, so it's not impossible.
Maybe the fan base will disappear in South America.
Yeah, they'll be visiting Machu Picchu and disappear.
oh,
I wish I could body slam.
the
Oh,
other
no.
half of the Under the
Yeah.
Helmet podcast.
Is this guy?
Under the Helmet pod.
Yo, what's up?
Nothing much.
Yo, what's up, Carcat?
Yeah, we're just listening to your boy Spongy.
As your picture there, that's actually pretty good.
Yep. We're just listening to your boy Spongy talk crap about the Niners like he always does.
And we talking shit about the Eagles. The Eagles gonna lose week 1 against Green Bay.
That's a definite donut for the Eagles.
It's a bad one.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is about to go off on that defense. Watch. Or not
Aaron
Aaron
Jo-
Jones.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones is a
Josh
Viking.
Jacobs. My bad.
Yeah,
My bad.
that guy from the Raiders.
They have Brandon Jacobs.
I just said it.
Josh
Yeah,
Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh
Brandon
Jacobs.
Jacobs, nice.
Josh
So-
Jacobs.
It's Josh Jacobs, and they brought back AJ Dillon after
Yeah.
they got rid of Aaron Jones.
Dillon
They
is
didn't want to pay Aaron Jones.
That's stupid. Green Bay should have kept him.
Nah, Dylan is a nice
Hey,
2 or 3.
Juice actually, he's got that. Do Brazilians
The guy they
even
drafted,
like either team? All I know is
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
played in Mexico, the stadium would be empty.
They call AJ Dillon the Quadzilla for a reason.
Dylan will be a
No.
backup.
I
You know
actually
what?
have
It is
something about
perfect
that.
for the. It is perfect for the Eagles to stay down there. There are cartels everywhere.
They call
Yeah, whatever.
Listen.
I did hear that there are a lot of Eagle strains in Brazil. I
So
did hear that.
No.
No. They eat eagles in Brazil.
hey,
Exactly.
yeah.
Spongy, you are so lucky that that the Eagles are not playing in Mexico because there's a thing called enanos, which is
In Mexico.
and they'll confuse your quarterback as a child. So
Yeah.
Oh my god.
it's not just for Kyler Murray; it's also for Jalen Hurts.
Hey, Spongy.
Mexico
No
is actually
offense to
the
you.
biggest fans of like Steelers.
Los Steelers.
Spongy, no offense to you, but are you a little ashamed of the pic that you guys released of your two new DBs standing side by side next to each other? Because I swear they
Are
looked
they
like they
dating?
were about to like skip across campus
Are they
What,
dating?
together. Like
Wait,
it was
Reed,
crazy.
it was Reed Blankenship and someone
Reed
else.
Blankenship and Cooper DeJean?
2 Philly players are making out? What?
Oh,
Hey.
whoa,
The
I
city
did
of
not.
brotherly love.
whoa!
I'm here to learn.
The city
everybody.
of brotherly
I'm
love.
with you.
Whoa! They did create that play that it's gross.
Oh god, the tush push.
Oh, weird.
I do not look forward to another whole freaking year of trying to
No, they
shove the
can't.
tush push down everyone's
Yeah,
throat.
Sa-
Al Kelsey.
Hey, Philadelphia
Saquon's gonna
is
be
the city of brotherly love. You know.
Yeah.
So
Saquon's gonna be involved in that a lot.
I mean, their name is Greek. It's like Delphi.
Hey, you think that
Well,
because Jason Kelsey retired, you think they're gonna still do that?
Nah, fuck Saquon anyways.
I think they're gonna
Oh yeah, this
try,
story.
but the point that anyone thinks that Saquon Barkley is actually gonna fight hard for the Eagles is just crazy.
They say he went. He
Yeah.
said he went there specifically to hurt the Giants.
So
He went there to be spiteful, and that's exactly what everyone does
He
in
went there
that
because that's his hometown.
in that division.
The NFC.
It's like the NFC North. They like going to the opposite team to just stick it to their team. Like you had Brett Favre, now Aaron Jones, everybody else becoming Vikings, so they can go up against the Packers
Well, that's where
twice a year.
Saquon's from. He went to Penn State, right? So it's not like he.
Saquon.
But Saquon does not give the game 100 at all, and
Don't worry.
the
he's
fact that
underrated.
Eagles
should
think
never
that
go
he's their
back.
savior is just
Nah,
crazy to
you
me.
can't say it. No, obviously every player gives their 100%. You can't say that a professional player goes out there half-asses everything. You can't.
You know what? Juwan Jennings.
You know, some players collect a paycheck.
Yeah, Spongy, when
Yeah.
you
These
two,
guys
Not
are getting
saying
paid
Marcus.
millions. They don't half-ass shit out there.
Spongy, if
Who
you
does
were
it?
defending my favorite player, then I would actually think that there's something wrong with him.
Who's your
but
favorite player? James Bradbury?
But when you insult him and try to throw him under the bus with Saquon Barkley, that just makes me love him more. So thank you, Spongy, for reinforcing how I already feel. I appreciate that about you.
So see,
Sometime in the
picture.
future, Daniel Jones becomes a quarterback for the Eagles.
Oh, God.
McNiner, if you want to pull my thing on the big screen, this is what
No.
Melissa is
No,
talking
don't
about.
That guy's
pull
next.
it.
No. Wait.
No
Hey,
pulling of
you want to
things.
pull mine? My safety clears their safety. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my.
that's funny.
The room has taken a
So,
turn.
Listen,
Melissa, one is a rookie and one isn't. One is a
Jair
veteran.
Brown's going to have 8, 7, or whatever, 6 interceptions next year.
Hey, I wish
And
we
he's
had.
gonna have one against Patrick Mahomes in Week 7.
He already
So-
had 2 in his rookie year against Mahomes. That's crazy.
So, shout out to a former 49ers player who said Jalen Hurts is height.
Oh, wow.
I
He's
Is
aight.
that something Nelly
I guess.
would say? Would
And
Nelly
he
say
said
that?
Brock Purdy, and he said Brock Purdy,
I?
and he said Brock Purdy's great.
Oh, wow.
That must have destroyed Spongy.
I could carry with them less, bro.
Spongy's made of like armadillo skin.
said it.
They really made an Instagram
guys,
post.
I only got a couple more minutes. I gotta be heading
The
to bed. 'cause I
NFL
work
really
at
made an
school.
Instagram post on Jalen
like we
Hurts'
always say,
shoes.
F all 31 teams, and like what me and McNina and John Jay and everybody on the panel says, F the Lambs.
Even
All
Sponge.
Rams fans.
That's
Yeah,
right.
F you for
Kurt
Memphis, right?
says F all 31 other teams.
Go
Yeah.
Birds!
No, go Niners. F the Birds.
Go Birds!
It's always go Niners.
Why?
No.
Yep. Let's go Niners.